It is the Green Bay Blizzard that will represent the East in Tucson, Arizona.
Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. Try not to move around too much because I don't want my camera to do what it did for the Fishers video, but we'll see how it goes. But we've got another team to preview. It is the Green Bay Blizzard, the representative from the Eastern Conference last year in the Indoor Football League National Championship. With the preview, we're going to see if this team has everything in place to make another run and potentially capture that crown that they were so close to getting last season and eventually fell short of. But just like with everything, if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you are a Green Bay Blizzard fan, welcome. Glad to have you guys along. If you are on your third team trying to figure out who to root for in the Indoor Football League, this team has been around for quite a while. They have a very strong fan base as well, so you would be welcomed with open arms to the Green Bay Army or the Blizzard Army or whatever they call themselves, the Kiss Army. Not the Kiss Army. The Kiss Army calls themselves the Kiss Army, but whatever they call themselves, the Blizzard Battalion. If not, I'm trademarking that one right now. But this is where we have it for Green Bay. We're going to talk everything when it comes to the Blizzard from last season to this season and the steps forward, steps backwards, and everything in between. So, without further ado, let's go take a look at the Green Bay Blizzard. Okie dokie. So, I'm chilling back here holding the microphone instead of having it on a little stand, and I'm hoping that this can fix some sort of the focusing issues that we had in the Fishers, in the Fishers preview and stuff like that, because trying to edit that, and if you guys watched it, that was just horrible, shoddy camera work by my tripod. So what can you do? I think it's trying to focus on the helmets. You can see it right there too. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye, but I try not to move as much so it stays focused on me, and we go from there. But we need to talk about the Green Bay Blizzard. Enough yapping about that. The Green Bay Blizzard, located in Green Bay, Wisconsin, obviously, where they play at the Resch Center. Now, I will get a little bit of flack for this because all last season I called the Resch Center in Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin, and I think the cities are like right next to each other. Maybe they share a street. I don't know, but yeah, it's Green Bay. You look up the address because I'm trying to make a road trip up there. You look up the address, it is in Green Bay, Wisconsin, so I will correct that for this season, but what can you do? Quick facts about the Blizzard. Your head coach, Corey Roberson, entering his 9th season, which that is a true testament to Coach Roberson and the coaching staff that Green Bay has. To be almost a decade with the Blizzard, multiple IFL Coach of the Year titles, and I think the best is still yet to come for the guy considering what he's done in the last 2 seasons. So it is insane to me to think that he has won Coach of the Year and what he's done in the last 2 seasons. I can't remember if he won Coach of the Year in 2024. I think he did, but 2025, yeah, I mean, it's insane what he's been able to turn around, because you look at it here, 10-6 last year, 10-4 in the Eastern Conference. In the last 5 seasons, Green Bay has gone 41-36, but a lot of those wins have come in last year and the year prior. 10-6, losing in the Indoor Football League National Championship game, and then 13-3, losing in the Eastern Conference Championship game. 3 years before that, no playoffs to speak of for the Blizzard, going 7-8, 6-10, and 5-9, respectively. So I know I mentioned this the very first time I ever did team previews, but Green Bay got better per game as each season progressed, and then they just got shot out of a cannon. So whatever they've done in the last 2 years, hopefully they can keep it up. Offensive team stats. This offense was on a tear last season. One of, if not the best offense, if I'm not mistaken. Stats page is wiped on the Indoor Football League website as they transition to a new one, so good luck trying to find those stats. But 53.7, almost 54 points per game. They were putting up touchdowns. Total offense per game, 248.9, almost 250 yards total offense per game. It was balanced, man. It was a very balanced offense. 158, almost 159 passing yards and 90 rushing yards. So pick your poison. They were running and throwing on you. 55% on third down, 52% on fourth down, which I know I kind of hemmed and hawed for Arizona, maybe a little bit with Fishers, but the more I kind of look at these stats, the more it's like, hey, if you're going over 50% for an entire season, that's not bad. So I do have to kind of retroactively say that for Arizona and Fishers. If I hemmed and hawed at that, being able to convert at that kind of clip, it's not that bad. It's actually kind of good, but 55%, on third down, 52% roughly on fourth. It's pretty good. Red zone percentage, 86%. So they were punching the ball in. Simple as that. They were scoring at will at some game in some games, man. What can you say about Green Bay's offense? It took them to the title game. They were a goal line stand away. I mean, they had the MVP. Simple as that, man. They were so good. Defensively, they gave up 45.5 points, almost 46 points per game. So while the offense was good, the defense left a little bit to be desired. Not necessarily the shutdown defense you see from Green Bay, but they made it work. Total offense allowed per game, roughly 247 yards total, with 156 yards passing and 90 rushing given up. They did take the ball away quite a bit, though. 25 total takeaways for this defense. So if they weren't, bending and breaking, or bending but not breaking, they were getting turnovers, and they got quite a bit of them. Offensive third down conversions, 50%, 51% on fourth downs, and 83% on red zone conversions. So not the best. Like I said, the defense was kind of bending, not breaking, really similar to what the offense was doing. So you had some shootouts for Green Bay. They were victorious in quite a bit of those, but for all intents and purposes, the defense did stand tall when it mattered. Took them to a 10-6 record. That's what you do. Special teams for the Blizzard, 64% on field goals, 89% on point after touchdowns. Kickoff return average about 15 yards per, and that's not including any sort of like deuce attempt touchbacks or anything like that, if I'm not mistaken. And they did block 4 kicks. Here's where it gets a little hairy for the Green Bay Blizzard, though. They do not return a lot of players from last season. As of right now, we have Terrell Carey as the wide receiver. 2 offensive linemen do return, though. Andrew Carter, who is still holding. A shout out to Rob Hossman on that one. Quad City fan for that one, so shout out to you. Roderick Williams is also returning on the offensive line. Defensive lineman Sean Mustin and Allen Henry. And kicker Andrew Mevis, which we'll talk about him in a second because I haven't seen him officially re-signed, but Green Bay did give that away a little bit. So, representing the Blizzard, finally for our last little segment here, head coach Corey Roberson, who we spoke about earlier, Andrew Carter, who is still holding, number 78 is still holding, second team All-Indoor Football League for Green Bay, and new signee Jonathan Ross, who earned first team All-Indoor Football League honors last season with Bay Area. You will see an exodus of Bay Area Panthers coming over to Green Bay this season. We'll talk about that in the roster segment, which, will come up shortly. But with that, we will venture on over to that roster segment. All right, so we're going to talk roster because I totally knew we were doing roster next and not the schedule because my brain is fried, you can already tell. But roster here, and we got a lot of Bay Area Panthers to the point where I wish I could steal the joke, but it's already been made about the Green Bay Area Panthers, Green Bay Area Blizzard, whatever you want to say, yada, yada, yada. But we move on because it's a joke and I wish I'd come up with it, so now I'm mad about it. So what can you do? Anyway, speaking of those Bay Area Panthers, Liam Thompson has been signed at the quarterback position for Green Bay because you need to replace last year's MVP in Max Myler, as we've already talked about him. He's over at Arizona right now, along with running back Kaimani Clark, who we'll get to in 1 second for the running back position. But Liam Thompson coming over from Bay Area, as he was the backup quarterback to Josh Jones for the Panthers last year. Along with him, Cole Stenstrom and Demilin Brown. Please correct me on how it is pronounced. We will see if it is truly a 3-man race. Personally, for me, my hat is on Thompson just because of the experience factor, but that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. Rookies can beat out veterans in this game all the time, and they do all the time. So we'll see how it goes. But if I was a betting man right now, I think Liam Thompson probably is just a little bit ahead of the other two, but we'll see what happens with camp starting, if it hasn't already started for Green Bay. But foreshadowing, we will get to the schedule in a little bit because they are one of the few teams that kicks off week 1. Running back position, Jaquay, I'm going to pronounce it Cretin or Cretin. I do not know, or Treaton, however it's pronounced. Please correct me because I'm going to butcher these 2 names right here. And then Salvatore Malignaggi or Malinaggi. Walter Wilbon rounds it out at the running back position, and you got a lot of raw talent right there at the running back spot. considering the last couple of seasons with Kaimani Clark, Jalen Cagle, and anything and everything in between in the rushing game that Green Bay has had, along with Max Myler being a dual threat running quarterback too. It'll be interesting to see what Green Bay does offensively when it comes to kind of true dual threat, running the ball, how they go about it. I mean, it's going to be all brand new for these guys in a sense. So we'll see how it goes. I do not know who's going to start at running back. I believe it's just going to be a straight 3-person race right now to see who starts, if there's anyone that gets cut. It'll be interesting to see with camp getting underway here. Terrell Carey is re-signed for another season and brought over again from Bay Area. Trayvon Alexander and Drayshawn Hudson is coming over from San Diego. Drayshawn Hudson's been around for a little bit. I think at one point he was with Tucson. I know he's been with the Sioux Falls Storm, rip in peace, but at the same time, he is a veteran of the game. So to complement that with Trayvon Alexander, who had a really good season with Bay Area last year, and Terrell Carey for the Blizzard. Isaac Garside, Isaac Ross, Caden Somerville, and Sylvere Campbell rounded out at the wide receiving core. Caden Somerville, 6'5", 180. That is a very tall man. And I don't think he went to college. And if he did, it might not be a college that sponsors football, because when I tried to look him up, it said that he was holding a trophy. So I'm assuming he played some sort of semi-pro ball or something like that, but I couldn't find anything. And Green Bay and the IFL updated their websites before I could even click on the link to say where he got signed and stuff like that. So there you have it. You have local product with Wisconsin Eau Claire and Isaac Garside. Winona State, not necessarily local, but adjacent, because I believe they're in Minnesota or South Dakota. I know they're D2, I know that. They play in the NSIC for Sylvere Campbell. And then obviously you got the other guys too, Wisconsin Oshkosh for Carey. Moving over to the offensive line, Andrew Carter, as I mentioned earlier, he is still holding. He is alongside Roderick Williams for the two signings that Green Bay has on the offensive line. And then Delvin Salter is signed over from Bay Area, so there's your third and your fourth, with Jamie Navarro coming over as well. Navarro earning all rookie league honors last season, so we'll see if he is slotted into that third spot. We know Delvin Salter, I believe at one point, was with Northern Arizona a season, well, not last season, but 2 seasons ago, give or take, somewhere in that time frame. So there is experience on that offensive line. That seems to be Green Bay's bread and butter. I'm trying to say that 3 times fast. Offense and defensive line are normally very, very good for this team. Dakota White, Melvin Hudson, Robert Lacey, and Ryan Franz round it out, and we'll see if any of those rookies can give any of these veterans a run for their money. Like I said, sometimes the veterans lose out to the rookies. We'll see how it goes. As I've mentioned in prior episodes, we'll see if it's trade bait for some of these guys, or we don't know. Injuries happen. You want to call these guys up. That's how we kind of have it. But size. Every single guy on that offensive line starts at 300 pounds or more, and all of them are 6'3" or taller. 6'3" or 6'4" to be exact. But again, roughly the same size. It seems like there is a type that Green Bay likes to recruit at the offensive line. Defensively, my God, it is scary. Sean Must and Allen Henry are re-signed for another year, and Jonathan Ross and Tavon Grant, again, come over from Bay Area. So the exodus of Bay Area Panthers after they've gone dormant go right to Green Bay, and on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. Jonathan Ross, like I said, earning all indoor honors. Tavon Grant having one hell of a season. He has been very good for Bay Area himself too. I cannot remember if he earned indoor honors or not off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, but I want to say he did, but I also don't know if he did or not. So don't quote me if he did, but I think he might have. Could be wrong, but still. That is a scary defensive line, and to add to it, Demario Martin, Devin Love, and Jaquan Griffin round it out. Same thing with the offensive line. Do the rookies even have a chance with how, I don't want to say goated, but it is a very, very good defensive line for Green Bay. We'll see how it goes, man. I mean, I am excited to see Jonathan Ross and Tavon Grant line up alongside Sean Mustin and Allen Henry. Like, they are going to get after the quarterback. Like we talked earlier, 26 takeaways. You might get to that again if these guys are rushing the quarterback and get some strip sacks and things along those lines and forcing some pressure for some picks. Linebacker Jordan Cry and Jawan Mitchell are at the linebacker spot. I cannot remember. He was number 33, but I know Jalen Johnson was another linebacker that Green Bay had. I know it's going to kill me because I know Green Bay's kind of gone through linebackers a little bit over the last couple of seasons. It's a position that some teams just cannot lock down. Like when you've got a good linebacker, you've got a good linebacker. And Jalen Johnson went over to Iowa at one point, and I can't remember who Green Bay had at the linebacker spot too. I know you guys are going to grill me in the comments for it, but regardless, they're not here right now, so we got to talk about Jordan Cry and Jawan Mitchell. One of these guys is going to win the starting job. One of these guys is probably going to be on the practice squad or a backup, as you normally want to carry 1 to 2 linebackers with it. So we'll see who wins that competition. Kind of goes along the lines with the running back spot. We just don't know. I don't scout the talent. I just look at these guys, look at the numbers, and go, that guy's good. So that's how we kind of have it at the linebacker spot. And then in the defensive secondary, even more Bay Area Panthers. There are more Bay Area Panthers on this roster than there are Green Bay Blizzard players, man. Landry Mavungu and Frankie West Jr. come over from the Bay Area, and along with them, Dorian Davis, Giovanni Waller, Jordan Washington, Najee Nider, Reggie Bracey, Ricky Pearson II, and Zeke Blake rounding it out. The defense is normally pretty good for Green Bay. I mean, they have their moments where they look really good. They were kind of hit and miss last year a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, Green Bay normally has a decent defense. I think the secondary could be the question mark here if they can lock down linebacker. We'll see how it kind of goes, but you do have some raw talent right there. We'll see if there are any diamonds in the rough for the Green Bay Blizzard in that secondary position. I do like Zeke Blake's size at 6'3". That's pretty good for a defensive back. And we've seen what Mavungu and Frankie West have done over at Bay Area, so that is pretty good too. Mavungu, I don't remember how many games he started. I think he played a little bit sparingly. Frankie West did start quite a couple games for the Panthers, so they do have some recognition in the secondary at least. It's not all raw talent, so it's pretty good. Now here's a caveat. I saw on a social media post where some players were located. Andrew Mevis was on that post on the Green Bay Twitter account or X account, whatever you want to use. I have not seen an official transaction that Green Bay has signed or re-signed Andrew Mevis, but if that photo or if that little collage of locations is true, Andrew Mevis is back. So that is very, very good. The man is one of the best, if not the best kicker in the Indoor Football League right now. First team All-IFL honors last year. He got a tryout to move up, and he came back after a couple of games and doing what he does best, man. He just continued his form right after he came back. It's insane what he has been capable of doing in the last season or so. Over to the injury call-up and other list, TJ Davis is over into the Canadian Football League, so that is kind of a hit. I know it says he's a quarterback. He was kind of an athlete, mainly wide receiver last year. If there's an opportunity for Green Bay to get TJ Davis back, that is only going to boost this team even further. And that's insane because TJ Davis was on a tear last season. We're talking a breakout season for TJ Davis. He deserves it, man. He deserves the CFL. He deserves all the hard work and effort that he has put in. Last but not least, Roderick Henderson, Nerion Washington, Timothy Robinson are all on League Injured Reserve. And one of the names that was on League Injured Reserve was Sue Kamara, but I noticed that he was also signed to the coaching staff. I think I reported on it on an off-season update, so I didn't put him down here because I think he's on the coaching staff. Why would you put him on League IR if he's coaching? But crazier things have happened. So there we have it for the Green Bay roster. Let's go take a look at additions and subtractions. We got to take a look at that schedule, talk about 3 questions, get out of here. All right, so key signings, key departures. Offensively, and I'm going to lump special teams in on the offense, and sometimes they'll be on the defense. It's however I cater. It's my video. It's not your video. It's my video. So I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm kidding. But offensively, Andrew Mevis, 2025 first team all indoor football honors. Like I said in the roster segment, dude was on a tear last year. 109 of 117 when it comes to extra points, 93%. Almost automatic, you know. They don't call him Automatic Andrew for nothing. And if they don't call him that, I call him that because he was damn near automatic. 15 of 23 when it comes to field goals, 65%. Long of 45 yards, and he hit 10 deuces. I mean, this guy was So good. And again, when you consider the missed field goals, you also have to put in a context of sometimes where you're kicking the field goals and the narrow uprights that kickers have. I think I've said it in previous videos. If you are over 50% on field goals, that's really good in the indoor football league, because sometimes they're just making you kick a 60-yard field goal just to flip the field. I mean, it's a glorified punt at that point. So to hit 15 of 23 on where he was hitting them from, longest of 45 yards, that's really, really good. Defensively, we've talked about him a couple of times so far this episode. Jonathan Ross coming over from Bay Area, first team all indoor football league honors from last season, 70.5 total tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, 1 pick, 2 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble as a defensive lineman. 20 tackles for a loss. That is incredible. The guy has been in the backfield so much. And like I said in the roster segment, to pair him up with Tavon Grant, who is a former teammate, to pair him up with Sean Mustin and Allen Henry, this defensive line is going to look nasty, and in a good way. I am excited to see how it goes, because I think the defense can keep this team in games if the offense is kind of on a little bit of a learning curve with what they have lost so far at the wide receiver, at the running back, and at the quarterback position. So what we have defensively and in the special teams category for Green Bay could be something that can really help them out when they need to be called upon to do so. Taking a look at our key departures here for the Blizzard, obviously it's the elephant in the room, Max Myler. We've talked about him with the Arizona preview, but we'll reiterate his stats for this one since it's a separate episode. But he comes over, that should say Arizona, not Green Bay, because that's where he went to. Last year's MVP, last year first team all indoor football league honors. Then again, 245 of 392 passing, 3,019 passing yards, 67 passing touchdowns to 9 picks, 156 rushing attempts, 795 rushing yards, and 28 rushing touchdowns. Like I said in the Arizona preview, and like I will reiterate here, he was so good. Man, he was so good. The escapability that he had to be able to scramble out of the pocket if he needed to, the design runs that he had, and just the running game that Green Bay had as a whole to take pressure off of him, to hand it off to Kaimani Clark, to throw it to TJ Davis, to have Lowell Patron or Zane Lewis or Terrell Carey or anyone on that offense really just be able to alleviate the pressure so he could do whatever he had to do. Man, the offense was so good, and it's a shame that he's going to Arizona because, and again, it's no knock on Arizona. They get the quarterback all the time. They get the prom queen all the time. I wish he would have stayed in Green Bay. There's something I like. Again, I don't know his intentions. I'm not sitting there trying to put words in his mouth or anything, but like, you missed by this much in the championship. Don't you want to come back and try and see if you can get that? But again, we don't know. That sucks, man, because Green Bay, they deserve it more than anything, man. Their fan base deserves that title. Defensively, Nigel Canada, he is over to the Tulsa Oilers. Cale Jackson is as well, but I'm picking Nigel Canada here. 83 total tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss, 1 interception, 7 pass breakups, and 1 fumble recovery for the man. Again, you lose a little bit on the secondary with Nigel Canada, with Cale Jackson. You do bring in a couple Bay Area Panthers. Like I said, the defense should keep this team in games. Like I said, they've been kind of wishy-washy. Sometimes it seems like they lock teams down. Sometimes it seems like they give up quite a bit of points. Bend but don't break, and they do take the ball away quite a bit. So it is a very big departure. Granted, Canada didn't have that many interceptions. He didn't force any fumbles. He had 7 pass breakups. It's pretty good. He was a tackle machine, though. So there's that. And like I said, the rest of the secondary, pretty good as well. So for all intents and purposes, it sucks to lose him. We'll see what rookies can come in and kind of take that spot. If Mavugu and Frankie West can usurp that, we'll see how it kind of goes. But I'm hoping the defense, with what they have on that defensive line, can help the secondary and put those players in position to take the ball away, or at least get 83 tackles like Canada had this past season. But that's where we have it when it comes to key signings and key departures for the Green Bay Blizzard. We've got a schedule to talk about because we have a Hall of Fame game to kick off Green Bay and 15 other games after that. So let's go take a look. Alrighty, we got to talk a schedule for Green Bay because they are the second team to kick off the Indoor Football League season. We talked about it with Fishers. They will be kicking off against Quad City to start the 2026 season. But we do have the Hall of Fame game, and is a rematch between Vegas and Green Bay, who met in last year's Indoor Football League National Championship game, and they're reconvening for the Hall of Fame game to kick us off on Sunday, March 15th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And I kind of like this idea. I don't think they've done this before. They're kind of switching it up because I think they would announce the Hall of Fame inductees before the national championship game, and now they're doing it at the start of the season. I think it's a cool way to kick things off. Now, could be mistaken, but I think that's how they used to do it. I really just kind of looked at the Hall of Fame inductees. I didn't know, I never really kept track of when they announced them, so it was never something that I really paid attention to, but this has me paying attention to it, so it's actually a really cool idea. I like that they get to honor these guys and what they did to turn the IFL into what it is, and then you get to play a game of football. It's a rematch. It's a really cool idea, so kudos to the Indoor Football League for that. Less than a week later, on the 21st, Fishers, they travel to Green Bay, back-to-back home games for the Blizzard, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, March 21st. Then you have a bye week. Then you have 2 road games, back-to-back weeks on April 4th and April 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for both of those. You're at Iowa on the 4th, at Quad City on the 11th, and then Iowa in 2 of the last 3 weeks. You will get them at home as you play them 3 times this year. After that, we start getting into the Friday games, which Green Bay is kind of known for. This is how they kind of get, and I'm not going to go into theme nights or anything like that, but Green Bay does do quite a few Friday games. They do some Saturday games and stuff like that. But we go on the 24th of April, 7 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff against the Orlando Pirates, back-to-back home games with Iowa, aforementioned, Orlando on that Friday. On the 2nd of May at a 5 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, you play Fishers on the road in your second of 3 matchups with them. And then another Friday before that, on a little bit of a short week, on the 8th of May, Quad City at home. So your second Quad City matchup of 3, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on that Friday. 16th of May, you take on the Tulsa Oilers on the road, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as we're slowly going down here. As you can see the schedule, not a lot of Sunday games compared to, in Arizona or anything like that. You get a couple towards the end of the year, but most of your games are on Fridays and Saturdays. After the Tulsa game, you get a bye week, and then you have a home Friday game, 8 p.m. Eastern Time against San Antonio. That is, I believe, the second, let me take a look over here. Yeah, the second Western Conference team. I think that's only it for the Western Conference teams when it comes to that. So there you go. You're done with your Western Conference. You played a couple. So it's kudos to there. After that, a little bit of an extended week by a day. You get Quad City on the road on the 6th of June, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, and then short week on that one by a day, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, back home on a Friday. Jacksonville comes to town. Then you get a bye week. You round out your 3-game series against Fishers after you've already rounded out your 3-game series against Quad City just a couple weeks ago, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the 27th of June. A little bit of a bye week, extended week, you know what I mean, by a day or two. You're on the road, 7:30 on a Sunday, so your second Sunday game, this time on the road at Orlando, so you fulfill your home and home with the Pirates on the July 5th weekend, July 4th weekend. You're playing on the 5th, so oops. And then on the 11th of July, you round out your series with Iowa on the road, 6 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on that Saturday. You get a bye week, and then you finish the season on the road, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff at Jacksonville. But when you take a look at the end of the season, 3 straight games on the road, kind of back to your old Green Bay ways, where depending on the weather and stuff like that, most people like to venture out with the nice weather in Wisconsin, so you take more road games as you get into the summer months. So 3 straight games on the road to round out the season, and you do get a bye week. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk in a minute here, but could that benefit them? Could that hurt them? If you're vying for a playoff spot with the rosters and everything that we've talked about with the additions and the subtractions, 3 straight road games. Yes, there's a bye week in between, but 3 straight road games, that could be very tough to overcome, especially if Orlando, Jacksonville, or even Iowa, any of those 3 teams are in a playoff hunt as well. Hell, you could even go back a couple of weeks to Fishers, as we talked about them in their preview episode. It'll be interesting to see how it goes for Green Bay, but there you have their schedule. Quite a few Friday games, 1 Sunday home opener, and then 3 games to end the season on the road. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. With that, we have 3 questions we need to talk about when it comes to Green Bay. So let's go take a look at those. We'll get out of here. All right. So question time. We got 3 questions to talk about, as I've done in the other 2 previews, and I'll do in the rest of them as well. These are just kind of open-ended. I'll try and answer them. You guys can answer them in the comments as you see fit. If you don't want to, that's cool too. But I'm going to answer the questions because I got some things that I kind of want to ask, poke holes in, things like that, and really just kind of leave things open-ended because we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, for some things, you can be answered pretty well. For some things, a little left to be desired, but we'll figure it out. We're going to start off with question 1 here for the Blizzard. How does Green Bay replicate 2025? So the simple answer is you find a quarterback that is on the caliber of Max Myler or Jerome Johnson, because Green Bay produced both of them. Both won MVPs. I mean, both were really good. Now, granted, Jerome Johnson didn't win his MVP when he was in Green Bay, but to be able to produce both those quarterbacks and develop them to what they were, it shows you how good the coaching staff is at Green Bay. So how do you replicate that? Well, first of all, you're going to find either Stenstrom, Brown, or Liam Thompson is going to be your Max Myler, in a sense. Obviously not a 1-to-1 ratio or replica of the guy, but a guy who can do all the things that he did, if not better. Next, you have to find a tandem running back section of any of those 3 guys, whether it's, I'm going to pronounce it Cretin. I know it's probably not pronounced that way, but Cretin, Wilbon, or Maglinaggi. 2 of those guys have to produce like Jalen Cagle, Kaimani Clark, what have you, and really just be able to do everything they did and return kicks and everything else. So how do you replicate that? You got to develop. You got to find the talent. You got to develop it. And for a long time, you didn't think that Green Bay would ever get to this point where you're wondering, is there an opportunity for them to go back to the championship game? For a long time, it was, can they even make the playoffs? And as they slowly got better, they went 13-3, and they lost in the Eastern Conference Championship. And then they go to the championship game last season, and they're just inches away, man. Inches away from claiming that title. So how do you replicate that? You just keep doing what you're doing. You keep developing these guys. You keep finding that talent. It might be a step back this season. I don't want to necessarily say that because every time I've said that, Green Bay has just made me eat crow every time. So I'm not going to say it this time. But I just think there might be a little too much raw talent. Having said that, I know I'm going to eat those words because the last couple of years, Green Bay has done exactly that, where they have brought back just a handful of guys, 4, 5, 6 guys total from re-signing, and they've developed good players out of their rookie classes, out of those crops of guys that they're like, that guy's talented. So how do you replicate that? You just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's as simple as that. This is the reason I think the East is so wide open, because I cannot have Green Bay too low. Because every time I do, they're just like, no, we're good. We're going to rattle off double-digit wins. Simple as that. So that's how you replicate it, man. You just keep doing what you're doing. Question number 2. Myler and Clark are gone. Who is the go-to guy on offense? So right now, if I had to place a guess, your go-to guy is probably Trayvon Alexander. Just based on his production, what he did last season, you could put Drayshawn Hudson in there, Terrell Carey, maybe even Liam Thompson. But until, I either decide to look at tape or start scouting rookies or whatever, I don't know who the go-to guy on offense is. It's the reason I'm asking the question. A couple of games in, we might be able to figure out who that guy is. We'll see how it goes. There is no preseason in the Indoor Football League. It will take a couple of games to really kind of get your footing. get the schemes down. You really only have 2 weeks of training camp, and in that time, you are also cutting players and some guys who were going to get some playing time are suddenly gone, or whatever the case could be. So it's always a work in progress when it comes to that. Who is the go-to guy on offense? We don't know. If there's an opportunity for TJ Davis where it doesn't work out for him in the Canadian Football League, there's your go-to guy. Simple as that, man. But I hope he does have a very good career up there in Canada, because that's the name of the game. Get the guys in the Indoor Football League. They look really good. Ship them up there to the UFL, to the NFL, whatever it is. So I'm not necessarily sure who the go-to guy on offense is. I'd like to say it's Liam Thompson, but I think there's going to be a quarterback battle. I don't know what running back is going to show out. And like I said, Trayvon Alexander was really good last year, but again, with what we've seen with the development, it could be any of the rookie wide receivers. It could be Terrell Carey having a breakout year. We just don't know. So as I said, who's the go-to guy on offense? I think after game 4, I think after the 4th game of the season, I think that is at Quad City or at Iowa. I can't remember. I think it's at Quad City. After that game, you might know who the go-to guy is there. Final question here. The defensive line looks great. The defense, a little bit of a work in progress. How does Coach Roberson and company shore up the linebacker and secondary? Now, we've mentioned this a little bit. Key departure with Nigel Canada, key departure, and I don't have it named on here, but key departure with Kevin Ransom, key departure with Cale Jackson. You know, Jalen Johnson was with Green Bay. He's over at Iowa. He only played a little bit of the season with Green Bay. Who do you go to for those two positions? They did sign Landry Mavungu and Frankie West, and those are some good additions. But for all intents and purposes, the linebacker room looks pretty raw. The secondary looks pretty raw. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like we were just talking offensively, if you can find those diamonds in the rough, and that's pretty much what Green Bay has been able to accomplish. You know, they did bring back Mamadou Mbai after a couple of seasons that he spent in Massachusetts. You know, obviously the legend that is BJ Hill within Green Bay. I mean, they do carry talent with them at the defensive back position. You look at what they had last year with Ransom, with Cale Jackson, with Nigel Canada, and to be able to replicate that, I mean, it might take a little bit. Like I said, it could be something where after game 4, you're looking at some of these guys going, all right, these guys are standing out more than the others. We might need to do a little bit of roster turnover, whatever the case could be. Obviously, I'm not even going to speak about injuries, but that could play a factor in it too, but we leave that to the side for right now since we're already talking hypotheticals and on paper, so leave that off the table. So, is it a breakout year for Mavungu? Is it a breakout year for Frankie West? To be determined. I'm curious to see if any of these other guys who, I mean, two of those spots will need to be taken, and you got quite a bit of guys that want those 2 spots, and then you're probably going to get 1 or 2 depth pieces within that as well. And you always leave those guys on speed dial in case of those injuries or anything. So it will be interesting to see how that secondary and how that linebacker spot go. And again, you got two guys right now at the linebacker spot. One of them is going to start. Do you keep the other one in your back pocket if you need it? And again, as we always talk about, rosters are fluid. Some of these guys that are cut could go to other teams, and some of the guys that are cut from other teams could be signed over to Green Bay. So we just don't know. And I hate using that as a cop-out because you could say that for every episode, as I've probably already done, but I try and keep it within the realm of, I think some of these guys in the secondary, they're hungry for it. They're being recruited to the spot of, hey, I like your talent. I think you can start. Go prove it. They've got that opportunity in these next couple of weeks before the season officially kicks off. So it'll be interesting to see how that defense goes. But I think that defensive line can help keep them in games and kind of, you know, put the secondary in position to make those tackles, make those pass breakups, make those interceptions, make those pick sixes, however it goes. So you do have a veteran-laden defensive line that I think can help you out with that too. So those are our 3 questions. How does Green Bay replicate 2025? Who's the go-to guy on offense? And how do you shore up the linebacker and secondary? So with that, it's time to wrap everything up. Get out of here. All right, guys. So hopefully, and I've been trying to peek out of the corner of my eye and my peripheral to see if the camera's been screwing up like it did in the Fishers one. So I don't think it has, or if it has, it hasn't done it nearly as much. So I might just be further back from the camera for these videos. But we're gonna wrap everything up and get out of here. I do, as always, appreciate every comment, share, subscription, what have you, to the channel. It truly means a lot. If you liked this video, if you are a Green Bay fan, or if you're just a fan trying to find a team, I hope I've done enough to convince you to root for Green Bay, or to root for Green Bay even harder. So yeah, that's pretty much where we have it. We just keep trickling down and ticking off teams. Next up is going to be the Iowa Barnstormers, who are Green Bay's rival. And I mean, that's a video I've been wanting to do for a long time, is who is each team's rival, but that's a topic for another day. We'll keep it on Green Bay for right now. It'll be a fun season ahead of the Blizzard. You are off a championship appearance. You get to replay that champion to start your season, and then you have 15 games after that to try and get back to the promised land. So we'll see how it goes. A lot of roster turnover from last season to this year, as it's been in the last couple. Wouldn't have it any other way for the Blizzard, it seems, man. But Coach Roberson is up for the task. In the last couple of seasons, he's proven his worth, and so is that whole coaching staff. Players seem up for it. This should be a very fun season. East is wide open. Fishers is chomping at the bit. Green Bay, Iowa, Quad City, Jacksonville, Tulsa, Orlando. I almost said the M word. Orlando, with rounding out the East. It is all up for grabs, man. Green Bay is looking to get it back, and we'll see how that goes. But for the most part, like I said, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. If you want to, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you don't, it's cool too. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys are providing. Truly, truly means a lot. Well, I will catch you in the Iowa preview tomorrow night. Until then, you guys have a good night. You guys have a good morning whenever you guys watch this. But until then, I'll catch you in that one. See ya.